Hello everyone! Today I am going to show you how to make a dragon marionette puppet. Now, before we get started, this one uses a lot of supplies and is one of the most challenging puppets we do. So feel free, and I'm giving you permission to watch this video more than once, to pause it when you need, to go back and rewatch instructions, okay? Like I said, it's very challenging. If you've been doing great with the other puppet tutorials I've put out and you want to give this one a try, then I am excited to see what you create today. All right, here are the supplies you'll need for a dragon marionette puppet. First off, you want to find both pages of the template in your puppet kit. They'll be labeled dragon marionette puppet, and the other one looks like this. You'll want to grab your string and the 2 tongue depressors or 2 popsicle sticks from your kit as well. And then I've also grabbed some scissors, some coloring supplies, a pencil, and a glue stick. If at home you have some tape, this project can become a little bit easier with some tape, but I'm going to do my best to show you the project without tape today. But I'll let you know where those steps come in case you do have tape, but make sure you've got a glue stick. All right, so here are the steps for a dragon marionette puppet. The first step is going to be to color. You can choose where you want to color and how you want to color your pieces. You can decide that. You can color in the spaces that say glue if you want. I usually leave them blank. The second step is going to be cutting out all the pieces. The third step I like to call assemble, where we put all these pieces together into one. Then we'll use the sticks, and then we'll add the strings to turn it into a marionette. So let's get started with step number 1. All right, I finished coloring my dragon marionette puppet pieces. You can see I've decided to color in a pattern. You can color the pieces all the way in, or you can color just parts of them like I did. That means I'm moving on to step 2, cut. Here we go. Now that I have all my pieces cut out, I always like to count and make sure that I have all my pieces before I get started. So I should have this body piece, 2 wings, a head, a neck, a tail, and a nose. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces total. Once we have all these pieces together and cut out and ready to go, we're going to get our glue stick and we're going to start assembling this puppet. So I'm going to move these pieces up here, and I'm going to start with this body piece right here. And I'm going to start by gluing on this piece right here that says glue. I'm not going to put glue on these yet. It's going to be more complicated if I do. Just putting glue on this rectangle right here that says glue. So I'm going to put a bunch of glue there. Put it all the way across. Okay, now we need to roll this body piece so that this edge covers this space that says glue. So I'm gonna flip it over. I'm gonna hold up here with my fingers, and I'm going to fold this piece over until it covers. It's a little bit challenging. You may wanna ask for a second set of hands if you have someone else at home who can help you. And I'm gonna kind of line those up. They're not always lined up great, and stick my fingers. I've got some in the tube and some out here, and hold it. I also like to press it against the table. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can squish it if you want, but I like to have a nice tube shape. And if it doesn't hold after that 10 seconds, unroll it, put some more glue on that line that says glue, and try again. It probably just means you didn't use enough glue. This really takes a lot of glue in this step. Okay, now that I've got my body together, I like to do the neck and the tail next. You can choose which one you want to do. I'm going to do the tail. Okay, so I'm going to grab this tail piece, and I know it's the tail because it's got this kind of orb shape at the top, and I'm going to put glue where it says glue in that big rectangle there. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to stick it into the tube. And it doesn't really matter which side you do. I like to do it on this side that has this little circle, or so that when I'm looking at it, the tube says glue in my direction. So I like to do that because I can tell the scales are going the same direction as this. I'm going to stick that inside the tube, and I do have to kind of curve it a little bit stick it in the tube and line it up so it's on the top. Now I like to flip it over and stick my fingers inside and hold that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that way, those scales should continue down onto the tail, and it has kind of a nice seamless line to it. Okay, we're gonna do pretty much the same thing with the neck, but you may notice there's only one spot that says glue to head. So it's not quite, that part isn't gonna go inside our body tube. Actually, the other end is gonna go in there. And there's no spot that says glue there, which is perhaps a design flaw. Whoever created this didn't do a great job. So I'm gonna put a little bit of glue right on the top of my thing there and do the same thing. I stick it into the other end of the tube and press it against the top. I'm gonna flip it over and hold it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now I have seamless scales from neck down the body to the tail. I'm gonna do the wings next since I'm here. I like to do the wings by folding. So I have this rectangle here and I like to fold just a little bit along this line. I feel like it makes the wings pop more and it lets them like actually look like they're flying. And then I'm gonna put glue on that rectangle that I just folded. Let me make sure, there we go. And then I'm gonna place that on my dragon. Now, you can really go either way, but this double loop part should be closer to your tail. And I'm gonna hold that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I like to make sure that my color is on top. I'm gonna do the same thing with my other wing. First, I'm gonna fold this rectangle. Then I'm gonna put glue on it, on the top, same side as the color. And then I'm gonna press it against this square that says glue, or this rectangle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that way I have a body of my dragon right here. All right, so now we need to move on to the head. So we have this head piece here that's in a circle and a triangle here that says glue. So I'm gonna put some glue on here just where that triangle is. So I start pretty big at the top and get small at the bottom. Then I wanna pick it up. This step is way easier to do if you pick it up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this piece over and kind of pull them together. So I put my thumbs kind of on either one of these little marks, and on the other side I have my pointer fingers, and I'm just gonna kind of bend it so that that part of the triangle covers and lines up, and then I'm gonna hold that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we have the first part of our head, and I like to do the nose next, so I'm gonna put glue where it says glue, and I tuck this underneath the head so that it continues that nose line right there. I'm only gonna hold that for a few seconds. Now my last piece of assembling is I need to put the head attached to the neck. So I'm gonna go to the neck where it says glue to head. I'm gonna put some glue in that space, and I'm gonna attach it to the back of the head right where those pieces met, or opposite the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And with that, you can see I have the whole dragon completed. Nose, head, neck, body, wing, tail. All my pieces are in there, so I know that I'm done. I'm gonna make sure I put my cap back on my glue stick so it's good the next time I need it. All right, we are gonna get ready some sticks and some yarn next and attach this all together. All right, so I've finished assembling my dragon, and now I need to get the strings and the sticks ready. So next we're gonna focus on the sticks. This is where it gets a little bit easier if you have some tape, but you might not have tape at home. So I'm gonna try and do this without tape so that you can really see what that looks like. We are gonna need to make an X with our sticks here by setting one over the other and making them about the same length on either side. If you have tape, you can tape it around the middle so that these two sticks hold together. But like I said, I don't have tape, so I'm gonna take one of my pieces of string and I am going to cut it in half. So I'm gonna fold it so the ends are together, and I'm going to cut this in half. Set this half aside with my other string, and take this half. So I'm gonna set this part down and I'm gonna make my X on top of it like that. Then I'm gonna hold down my sticks and lift up my string. You may want a second person to help you in case you need extra hands, but I'm gonna tie a knot right here, like I'm starting to tie my tennis shoes kind of thing. And you'll see it kind of like pushes my sticks together. That's okay. We'll fix that in a minute. And so I double knotted that. And now I'm going to force my sticks to be in that X shape that I want. And I'm going to, opposite of where I wrapped it, I'm gonna bring this around. And the last thing I need to do is use the end that I had here and the end from wrapping it around, and I'm gonna tie that now in a double knot. You may need to watch this step more than once to really get it, and that's okay. You also might have Elmer's glue at home, like a glue bottle, and that can be more effective in holding things together as well. And you might, like I said, tape is the easiest way to do this step. But if you don't have tape, you can always tie it into a knot like this. I'm gonna restart this knot. It's not holding the way I think. I'm actually gonna give myself a little more string by unwrapping some. There we go. Third time's the charm. Perfect. I was able to double knot that. And that should hold that X of that stick pretty well, just like that. So yeah, if you need to watch that step again to see how I tied that on, I suggest you do that. It may take more than once, and you may have to get a grown-up to help you as well. Okay, we've got our stick now. We need to combine together our dragon and our strings. That is the next step. So I'm gonna get my dragon back out. And you may have noticed on your dragon there's some spots where there's little circles, like here at the edge of each wing. There should be one on one end of your body. I put mine close to the tail. Yours might be up here, but we're gonna end up making a hole here. And then there's one at the back of the head. Now, if you're at home, you may have a hole puncher like this, and what it does is it punches a hole straight in your thing, but most likely you don't have one of those. So this is where you're gonna get your pencil out to get you started, okay? So very carefully, you wanna hold so that your fingers are not right underneath that hole, and you're gonna poke a hole into that, with your pencil, poke a hole into that hole, okay? So I'm going to set my puppet down onto the table. I'm gonna stick my pencil on it, and I'm going to carefully lift up to make a hole, and I can punch my pencil through that, slowly wiggle it. Oops, I ripped through. So that happens sometimes, so just move a little bit over to the side and make a new hole. It's okay if it's not exactly where that circle was, but now I've got a little hole. You could also do this with your scissors. If you take a pair of scissors and very carefully poke into your hole, just be very slow so you don't stab yourself with scissors. And same kind of thing back here. You want to poke a hole. I'm gonna use my pencil this time for a little bit more control. I'm gonna poke through that hole. And this one's a little harder because there's 2 layers there, but look at that, I got it. And the last one is up here by the head and the neck. So same thing, I'm gonna slowly wiggle my pencil to poke through. Again, there's like 3 layers of paper here, so it takes a little bit. All right, so what we need to do now is we're gonna use the strings to connect. So I like to use my longest string for where the tail is, and you can use shorter strings in other spots. So like we have the one string we cut in half to make our X with our sticks. I almost said strings again, kind of thing. But I'm gonna take this long string and I'm going to poke the string through the hole that I created. Now, your hole might be big enough that it's easy to poke, or your hole might be very small and so it's more difficult to poke. And that's okay, it just takes a little bit. So I'm going to poke one string through each of these holes. Here I go. All right, so now that we have our dragon connected with strings, and those knots tied, we need to take the other ends of those strings and connect them to our cross piece with our sticks. So my shortest dragon piece was attached to its head. So I'm gonna hold that up against one of these sticks to kind of check and see how high I want this to go. So when I hold up my dragon puppet like this, I can decide where I want the tail to go. So I've got one piece that I'm holding here to a front part of this stick, and I'm going to test out heights for the other part of my stick on the back with this back string. So like, do I want the tail really low and flying that way? Do I want it even higher? What height do I want it at? I think I'm gonna go with something about here and try and mark that some way. You could mark it with a marker. So I think I'm gonna grab one of my markers right now and mark where that is so that I know where I'm trying to get to. So I'm making a little black spot on my string to tell me roughly what height I want that to be at. And you can do the same thing with the wings too. So let's say I'm holding this head piece here again. The strings are gonna go on the other stick. So our tail piece, our tail string went here, and our wing strings are gonna go here. So I can think about if I want the wings up super high or super low, and I can check those heights as I go. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to attach these. Okay, so we need to attach these pieces. Now, like I said, if you have tape, it's as easy as placing this string on top of your stick and taping around it to hold it in place. But I don't have, I'm gonna pretend I don't have tape. So I'm gonna tie some knots, okay? You just have to make sure they're super tight. So just like you're tying a shoelace, you're gonna tie it onto the edge of your stick and double knot it super tight if you can. Just like that, okay? That'll hopefully hold for the most part. And then you can check the height that you want. I had made that black mark on my string like that. Maybe you can see that right there. So I'm going to try and tie it at about that level for my tail, which is going on the opposite end of the same stick as the head. Again, I want that really tight. Tying that in a double knot. I can check that I've done it right by holding it up, and look at that, it holds up the front and the back of my dragon. Now I need to do the wings on the opposite. So you want the left wing to go on the left side of the stick and the right wing to go on the right side of the stick. And you can check your heights. I'm gonna put my wings about there, I think. My strings are very long, so you can cut them if you want. That makes your knot tying easier. See, now I want to unknot or untwist my strings and make sure I've got my head, my wing, my tail, and then I'm gonna put the last wing on here. Kind of want the same-ish height as the other wing, but it's not a perfect science, I suppose. One knot. Really tight, and a second knot. Also nice and tight. Okay, I'm gonna trim my long extra pieces. There goes one. Making sure they're the extra piece by holding them up and making sure they're not connected to anything else. I would hate to accidentally cut off. There we go. And when I hold it up, you can check. And that feels pretty good. I'll show you in another view. All right, everyone. So here is my finished dragon marionette puppet. I think if I was gonna make additions, I'd or feedback, I'd lift this one up a little bit higher, or I can do that by wrapping it a couple more times around my stick, but I feel pretty good about this. If you want to make the dragon move, you're going to take your hand and place it on top. I kind of put my fingers around the center part, and to move the head, you lift the sticks up. To move the back, you lift the back stick, and to move the wings, you can go back and forth. I like to do kind of like a swimming motion where my hand goes up and down and up and down, and let the sticks kind of move with it as they move. So there you have it. You have just made a dragon marionette puppet. Can't wait to see what pictures you send in of your finished puppet. Good luck and have fun!